Namaste and Satnam to you all. Yeah, go ahead and start us off. Alright, just as it says there, everyone is welcome and loved here. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and move on to the Sandra chant. Get started. I think what we'll do here, since this is taking a little bit to load, is we can do things a little bit out of order. I'll go ahead and start with welcoming the Buddhas to our temple. We respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. I'll go ahead and move to the 6 paramitas. Giving. May I be generous and helpful. Guidance. May I be guided by the Buddhist precepts. Tolerance. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. Perseverance. May I do my best in all things. Meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. And insight. May I understand the meaning of Nama Amida Butsu. Now the Bodhisattva vows. The many beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them. Dharma gates are countless. I vow to wait to them. Buddha's way is unsurpassed. I vow to embody it fully. All right. Just a minute, better. like we're having a whole bunch of internet issues today. But aside from that, I'll just go ahead and move on then to the service. Alright, so welcome, sacred community. This week we move into the third noble truth, the truth of liberation. This is a message of hope, of freedom, of peace. The promise of the Buddha is the Buddha didn't just show us the suffering, he showed us the way out. He taught that suffering can end, that peace is possible. Not in some far-off heaven, but in this very moment, when we let go of craving. That is to say that, when we release our desire for things to be a certain way, when we accept the moment as it is, and when we take the world in stride. Next is what is nirvana? Nirvana is not a place. It's a state of freedom. Freedom from the flames of wanting, from the storm of resistance. It is calm, contentment, and deep inner clarity. The Buddha said, it is the unbinding. So essentially, nirvana is the state that we aim to reach. Not in a sort of heaven or, in death, but in life. To be able to be in this state of peace, to be able to understand and recognize just take each moment as it is, and to release that suffering. Hello, welcome in. We're having sample service right now, so if you want to join, feel free. If not, you can look around. Thank you. Thank you. Have you ever had a moment where you felt deeply at peace, where you didn't want or need anything more? That was a glimpse of freedom. Even if brief, it's real. It means liberation is not just possible, it's already within reach. We don't have to fix everything at once, but we can begin walking step by step. We can taste peace in small moments and know that the flame of suffering can be cooled. So, next up, I just want to go ahead and help remove any blockages that you guys may have before we move into meditation. I know this is a bit abnormal, but today the videos just aren't really working, so we're going to do things in a little bit of a different order. And for anyone who is new here, who hasn't joined us before, something we do for meditation, we do for breath work, we do the infinity breath, which is, it takes the form of a figure 8, in a sense. What we do is we start by breathing out all the stale energy, all the negative energy that's accumulated in our lives, just everything that's just kind of stacked up on top of us, and we breathe it out in one breath as that bottom loop. And then we hold in our center for just a few seconds, and then we breathe in that bright creator light. And we hold in our center once more, and then we breathe out again, forming that bottom loop as we circulate that energy through us. And then as we do this, I want you to just feel your like, close your eyes lightly, at least, and feel the energy of the earth as it connects you to it. You feel your feet on the earth and feel the energy flowing up into you as you breathe that infinity breath, just moving up through you, up through your knees, up into your root chakra, moving up further and further, reaching your sacral chakra, and then your solar plexus, moving up to your heart, and then gradually making its way to your throat, and finally to your third eye chakra, and then moving out through your crown chakra as it connects you with all that is. Alright? And whenever you're ready, you can move back into yourself, into your normal state, and slowly open your eyes. Alright? Now, since nothing is working as usual, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our Reiki healing of the mind. Today we have patience. Just for today, I will let go of anger. And I feel like this is very relatable because there's been a few things that have been pretty frustrating today. And that, for me at least, with these videos not working. So today we remember that we are not broken. The end of suffering is real. It is possible. It is already whispering within you. Alright. So, lastly, I'll leave you with a bit of homework. Something to do during the week. Journal 3 moments this week where you felt peace, even briefly. Alright? And I'll see if we can get our final video to play. To close out. This has been a bit of stuff today, but it is what it is. Let's Not. And oh. There it goes. Alright, well, seems that one stops there. If the video doesn't work, I can just show you this flyer of everything that we have to offer here. Alright. Thank you all for joining us. Namaste to you. For anyone who wants to join us for our podcast, we're going to keep rolling. And then we're just going to talk about what we've talked about today. All right. Go. All right, testing, testing. Okay, yeah, seems everything's working. All right, so Miguel, do you have any thoughts, anything that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, not particularly. I mean, we all suffer. I mean, it's just the natural state of life, you know. But I mean, really suffering it's a necessary component of life because without suffering, we can't really truly know character. It's just, it's a learning, mechanism, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
kind of see it as a necessary function in life, despite how much it sucks.
Right. So with what we were talking about today, we were sort of talking a bit about how, with the Buddha's teachings, what he learned and what he discovered was that suffering, while we may consider it natural, it's not something that is a necessary part of life. It's something that's sort of self-imposed in a way. The reason why we suffer is because of our own expectations, our own desires, our own cravings, because we have a certain way that we want things to go, and when it doesn't go that way, we suffer. We feel bad about where we are. We feel worse about our situation. And really, it's just, we are not, the way that we have grown societally, or the way that we have grown up, I feel that we have sort of learned to be discontent, right? That things should be better. That, that we should be in a better situation than this, or that we compare where we are to where we think we should be, right?
Well, suffering is inevitable, and typically, there's about a handful of things you can do with it. You can do nothing and just let it happen. Or you can do something and make it worse. You could also just take solace in it and just kind of just roll with the punches, take it for what it is, and just be content about it. Or you can learn from that suffering and turn the horrible experience into something better and more beautiful.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is sort of along the lines of like, you're conflating suffering a bit with like the experience itself. Like the suffering, from my understanding, is more along the lines of, it's the experience that we have, like, of the situation, rather than, things going wrong in the first place. Of course, like, we will experience situations that are negative, and we're going to experience pain. But how we choose to engage with that, suffering is sort of a mode of engagement, rather. It's how we take an experience. Like, we don't have to take an experience as suffering simply because it is a negative experience. There are many ways that we can take the experiences that we have. And one of those is like simply to learn from them and to, have grace for ourselves, have grace for other people who are involved in those situations, to have, to find a peace within ourselves, even when things aren't going the way that we want them to go. Right?
Yeah, and more often than not, things do go the way we don't want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's just a matter of how you deal with it, really. I mean, you could, it's all dependent on our expectations and our coping mechanisms attached to it. I mean, we all have our ways of diluting the pain with frustration, a lot of times people, gravitate towards addictions, or they just gravitate towards negative thinking, or suicidal tendencies, there's just so many different ways that people either cope with it or they just deal with it, at least in the negative side,
Yeah. Like, something that I've heard is that, like, a lot of times in life, we don't have a choice about what happens to us, but we do have a choice about how we react to that. And there is power in how we react to a situation, how we react to what's going on in our lives. If, like, I remember a story about a person who they went to the airport, right? They were due for their next flight, but their flight got canceled. And then, like, they ended up having to, like, the next flight wasn't for, like, another 24 hours. And predictably, there were many people who were just crowding one of the airport employees, and they were barraging them with questions and complaints. And this person instead decided to go up to him and say, "Hey, I'm sorry you have to go through all this. It's going to work out," and all that kind of stuff, and just to be kind to him. And so this employee, in turn, offered to set him up in a hotel room. So, even in this negative situation, this person had the power to be able to just take it all in a different light and to, make the situation ultimately better for themselves, not even intentionally, but just by choosing to react in a different way.
Yeah, and I think, as ironic as this might sound, suffering is good for character. It's just like, a diamond is created under intense heat
Pressure.
and pressure. And so the same thing goes with a person in their spiritual journey. It's like their spirit and soul, it's not really ever going to get anywhere if they don't suffer to some degree. Otherwise, life's just going to be easy and you're going to be content with what life gave you, and you're just...
I think like you're referring more to the pressure itself, which pressure and, pressure and stress aren't necessarily always equated to suffering. You don't have to suffer under pressure. You don't have to suffer under stress. Because, like, you get to choose how you respond to a situation. Now, you may have a certain way already worked out in your mind and in your coping mechanisms, in your, like, in your programming, to where, you automatically react to pressure and stress through suffering, through feeling sorry for yourself, through feeling bad about everything, through getting angry, through feeling just bitter about the whole thing. But what the Buddha would probably suggest is more to just take in the situation as it is, without any expectation or any desire for it to be different, or any need for it to be different. And to live through it, to experience it. And to find that inner peace within yourself, so that you can avoid suffering in that moment and instead just live doing the best that you can, knowing that you're doing the best you can, knowing that it doesn't matter if you fail or succeed. It's not, even if it's something that like you normally want very badly, the wanting is what makes that suffering happen. It's that desire within you. It's that need for things to be a certain way. But when you can accept the situation as it is, when you can work through and live through and be at peace with everything as it is, you can find a way out of that suffering. You can it just becomes another part of your life. It's no longer something that makes you feel awful. It's just something that you're able to be at peace in. And that's not to say you can't strive for higher things. That's not to say that you can't work for things to be better. That's not to say that you can't, try to achieve goals. But more to say that, in the moment, right, like the suffering is self-inflicted when we go through something awful, the suffering often is more coming from a place of wanting things to be a certain way and not accepting the way that they are.
For me, dissatisfaction in my own current situation is in itself its own motivating factor. Obviously, the suffering that I go through now is not something that I want to do, but it's just motivation for me to be better as a person. And I know I am. If I just am content with, okay, this is what I have, I'm just gonna accept it for what it is, I'm just gonna stagnate. It's happened to me before, so I know how I am. So if I just say, okay, I'm just gonna be happy with what I have, or really not happy, but if I just tell myself, I'm just gonna settle for what I have and not try to strive for anything better, then I'm not gonna get any better,
Right.
So I try not to have this mindset, accept things for what it is if I know that there's something better.
Right, I think it's more like, not to let yourself be in a place of just that, that if something that, even if you're striving for something, even like if you're pushed on by dissatisfaction, you can fail to recognize the satisfaction in each moment when you get there. Because if you're continually pushed on by dissatisfaction, if you're continually pushed on, like you're always going to be able to find things about your situation to feel upset about. Like it's not good enough, like there's something that's wrong. It'll be hard to find joy in the moments when you do achieve things and to celebrate those small victories. Um, but I do agree with you that like it's important to continue to push for things that we want, you know, and to recognize what it is that we seek within ourselves, you know, to recognize what our soul seeks to accomplish in this world and what we want to become. Is there anything that like you'd like to share about like your week or about what's been going on with you? Anything that you've been integrating lately?
I mean, like, this isn't my whole life, it's nothing but suffering, in all honesty, you know? So, for me to say specifically any one thing, I can't say it. But I've just had a rough life, and so I just try to roll with the punches a lot of times, or, you know, and then just anywhere I can, you know, I just try to, you know, do better, you know, and so a lot of times, you know, I've done a lot of failing, you know, lots of failing, not much succeeding, but, you know, but every failure just kind of motivates me more to that there's something better.
Right.
If I don't succeed, then obviously there's a reason for it. So I just kind of just try to see it for the bigger picture, rather than just, you know, trying to settle for something slightly better. You know, I just kind of use that frustration and that irritation as a motivating factor to be my best self, than rather than just a better.
Right. All right. Well, do you think there's anything else for us to go over?
Not in particular.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and close this out then. Namaste to you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And you guys have a great week.